G'day folks, welcome back to the blind test drive and to another video. It's been a little while since we've done one. Today I'm planning to do a review from a blindness perspective on the PowerTech S1 portable power station. There's quite a few of these around. There's Bluetti, there's Jackery and so on. And later in the video we'll get to why I went with this particular unit. But just to talk through the features of this particular one, it has a 1024 watt hour battery, a 2000 watt inverter, USB-A and USB-C connections, as well as DC connections and 4 AC outlets. There's a few reasons why you might want one of these. If you have a need for portable power, but you don't want to be messing around with a generator, or you need to use your portable power indoors. Obviously you can't run a generator indoors because of the carbon monoxide from the exhaust, so it gives you that option. It's also good if you're trying to run devices overnight when your neighbors might not appreciate you running a noisy generator. They're also good for camping. You know, if you're wanting to run a couple of AC devices, a coffee machine or a kettle or a toaster or an air fryer or something like that while you're camping, and it's small enough, you could have it set up in the back of the car. Now you can charge these using AC, DC output from your car, or a solar panel or solar blanket, depending on your setup. For us, there's a couple of reasons why we got this. One is for home as portable power during sort of overnight hours. We do have a generator, and I will do a video on our standby power setup. We did have a cyclone came through here a couple of months ago, and it went quite well having access to portable power, having access to a generator. But this means that if we want to charge our phones, laptops, those sorts of things overnight without the generator running, we can do it, and we can probably also keep a couple of fridges running. It's also helpful in the caravan. If we decide to go off-grid, we can run off the 100 amp hour lithium battery in the van, but it also just gives us another option to be able to run a few things or charge a few things, particularly if you get a few days without sunshine and you can't charge up your solar. Our intention at home is that we would run the generator during the day, charge this up and run all our fridges and things, and then just use the PowerTech S1 overnight. Now, I should also point out I'm not sponsored by PowerTech, and I'm also not sponsored by RoadTech Marine, which is where I purchased this unit from. But I do want to give a shout out to Meg at RoadTech Marine at Capalaba. Always appreciate going into a shop where you get good customer service, where they're happy to let you sort of touch and feel things and talk you through what all the connections are and what all the options are. So thank you to Meg and RTM at Capalaba for your excellent customer service. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to have a look at what we can and can't run, how much various appliances pull out of the battery, and we're also going to have a look at the iPhone app. And that's one of the reasons that I liked this one, is that the iPhone app is nice and accessible. And what that means is that I can see what's happening with the unit, what it's doing, how much things are drawing, how much power I've got left. I also like that this has nice tactile buttons. Some of these devices are touch screens, a little bit difficult to tell what they're doing, but I can actually switch things on and off using the app as well as using the buttons on the front of the unit. So let's now connect it up to a few appliances and see what happens. So let's first take a look at the device. And I'm going to be probably more descriptive than I might otherwise be for my blind and low vision audience. So it's basically a large rectangular box, weighs about 11 kilograms, and inside it we have the 1024 watt hour battery. We have an inverter which converts DC into AC for running your household appliances. We've got a solar regulator, so you can hook it up to solar panels for charging. And on the front, we've got a number of different ports. So on the left-hand side of the front panel, we have two USB-C ports. Below that we have 4 USB-A ports, and we have a button for turning that section of the device on. To the right of those we have the display, which hopefully you can see, and that shows you the power consumption of the device. We've got 4 AC outlets, so your standard Australian 3-prong GPOs, one here, one here, one here, and one here. We have above the screen we've got a power button, which is a sort of a round button that's recessed, and next to that we have an IoT button, which stands for Internet of Things, and it's to hook this up to your Wi-Fi or to turn Bluetooth on, and you can monitor it using the phone app through either Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. On the right hand side we have a cigarette lighter socket, so that's a 10 amp 12 volt DC, and I think we may also have another DC socket there. I think it might be a Merit socket or something like that. And again, on the right side here we've got a button to turn on the 12 volt DC component. On the left side of the unit, if I spin him around, we have a port here that I can't get open, but it's designed so that you can hook up an extra battery to this thing to increase its capacity. And on the right hand side of the unit we have another little door here, which that's our 240 volt AC for charging, our solar regulator port here, and we've got an overload protection button down here. So that's all it is really in terms of the buttons. So the all-important question is, can I use this to make a cup of coffee? I've got our Nespresso Virtuo coffee machine hooked up here, and I've got it hooked into one of the AC outlets. So let's press the button, and it's kicked the fan in because obviously we're drawing quite a bit of power to run this. We'll see in a moment whether anything happens or whether it's actually capable of running it. It's obviously still drawing some power to preheat the machine. And there's our coffee machine now running. There we go. We have coffee, and we have some fan noise from the unit, because obviously running a heating element plus the pump and the brewing mechanism and everything is going to chew a little bit of power. Not quite sure how much yet, but we'll have a look once this is done and see what's left. Those of you that can see the screen might be able to see what it's doing. I'm not sure. I'll have a look at a moment with the iPhone app and we'll see. Almost done, I think. Nearly done. There we go. So, we have successfully made ourselves a cup of coffee using this device. So we'll turn the AC section off for a moment and unplug that. And let's see what that did to our battery. All right, so that depleted the battery by around about 4%. So we could probably have, if we weren't doing anything else, 20 cups of coffee before the battery would give up. Let's see what else we can run. Now, the next thing that we might want to do, and this test will hopefully kill two birds with one stone. So I'm going to try and boil water, but I'm going to do it using a kettle on the induction hob rather than boiling the electric jug, because that way it'll also show you that it's possible to boil, you know, to cook something in a pan, like you might want to cook some sausages or something like that. So let's give this a try. I'm using my talking induction cooktop. Sorry, my talking induction cooktop. So let's turn this on.
Power 6.
And the fan on the unit here is obviously ramping up because we're pulling quite a bit of juice from it to do this. Anything that is sort of a resistive heat load is going to chew quite a bit of power. So I'll time this and I'll come back once we've almost got the water boiling. Okay, so our water is almost boiled. In terms of what we're pulling out of the unit, I can't check while I'm filming with the glasses. It's taken about 6 minutes to boil the water, and you know, it seems to have run fine. I didn't have it on particularly high. I sort of had it on a medium setting. Obviously I could have done it quicker if I'd ramped it up, but then I would have, and there's our water boiling, so we'll turn that off. We would have you know, pulled more out of the battery over a shorter period. So you know, probably 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. So let's have a look and see what we've got left in our battery. So that pulled us down from 96% after we made the coffee down to 74%. So you probably wouldn't want to do that too often, but you know, you could use that if you were cooking some sausages and running your induction hob for 10 minutes or something like that. That wouldn't really be a major problem for it. You know, keep in mind this is standby power. You know, it's sort of what you would use in an emergency, and something you might use overnight. Now, as I said, these are kind of fairly strong, fairly big loads. So, you know, the induction hob was drawing between 1300 and 1400 watts. Running something like a fridge would be way less than that. It might be 400 or 500 watts. So you're going to get a lot longer out of it running those sorts of things than you are running sort of resistive loads with, so anything with a heating element. But I just wanted to show you what it was capable of doing, just to give you a little bit of an idea. So obviously if it ran the induction hob, it would have run the toaster, probably would have run our kettle, possibly the microwave, I don't know. We could try that, I suppose. But that would still leave us plenty to sort of charge our phones or, you know, run an electric fan or something like that for several hours. So really quite impressive. The other thing to note here is that it does have a pure sine wave type inverter. What that means in layman's terms is it is safe to run sensitive electronic equipment off the AC side of the device. So things like your laptops, your phones, your smart TV, your microwave. You have to be a little bit careful. Some of the cheap inverters are either a square wave or a modified square wave, and it's not particularly clean power, and it can cause problems for electronics, like your TVs and your laptops and computers and that sort of thing. Whereas something like this, you could quite safely run your computer, you know, for as long as the battery lasts, essentially. So that's also a benefit of something like this. If you, particularly, I guess, for someone like me with a vision impairment, where when you're in an emergency situation and you don't have
you know, access to power, you don't have access to things, you also don't have access to information. So you may not know what's happening, you may not be able to keep track of, for example, when power is going to be restored in your area. Are there any future or further weather alerts that you might need to be aware of, that kind of thing. Whereas if you can keep your phones charged, run your laptop, keep your internet router going, all those sorts of things, then you know, you can stay in the know. You know what's happening in your area, and you've got access, and you can communicate. Particularly as well, one of the things that we found in the cyclones was that mobile reception was pretty poor. So you can't always rely on that. So in that situation, having access to your home broadband can be pretty helpful. Now, the last thing that I might want to try is running the Philips air fryer. This is a fairly big unit. I think it's like 2400 watts or something like that. So I suspect it isn't going to be too happy about doing this. If I had the smaller air fryer that we have in the caravan, it might work, but let's give it a go anyway. No, that just shut down straight away. So there we go. We found its limitation. But that is still not bad, I think. Now we can reset that. We can press the overload protection, turn the unit off and back on again, and it will work again. So there we go, folks. That's my review of the PowerTech S1 portable power station. Now there is a larger variant. I think it's called an S2, which you can, it's still, I think it has a 2500 watt inverter and a 2048 watt hour battery, so double the capacity. But it's also quite a bit heavier. It's about 22 kilos instead of 11, and it's about double the size. So it kind of depends on what you would want to run, I guess, and you know how much standby power you need. I think that for us, for using it, you know, overnight for running a couple of things, making a cup of tea or whatever, keeping the phones and the laptops running, and then charging it up during the day with the generator, this is probably all we're going to need. But if you're the sort of person that travels a lot, goes off grid for days at a time, you may want the bigger S2 version. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this. I've only had it a few days, so I guess we'll see how it goes in real time and in real terms. But overall, I have to say I'm quite pleased with it. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you to all the new subscribers. If you haven't yet and you would like to see further videos, please like and subscribe. And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.